Hi everybody, welcome to Meditative Recovery. My name is DK Cordero. I'm a certified peer specialist from the state of Georgia. And today we're going to continue with our series from the SAMHSA brochureware on recovery. These are the 10 principles of recovery. And specifically today we're going to talk about the principle of respect. Respect is something that we need to redevelop in ourselves, and it is also something we can expect in the process of recovery as we work with others. Again, I'd like to start with the meditative portion, and we will do that. I will then read from some materials that I have and try to define some of the things that are available to you in the recovery process. But let's go ahead and jump straight into meditation. What we like to do, I'm sitting up again, very comfortably in a rocking chair in my case, and feet flat on the floor, loosen my tie, and I'm trying to be very, very comfortable throughout this process. This is an opportunity for us to gain some healing of our mind and also of our body. I, by the way, use meditation all the time to help relieve pain. It is phenomenal how fast meditation can work for relieving stress, strain, perceived pains, etc. It is a fabulous tool. So without further chit-chat, let's jump into the meditative portion. Again, I'm going to do a body scan. It's a guided visualization. Today I have some music, background sounds from the beach, and so that's where I'm going to be today. You can put yourself wherever you want, but it might not be a bad idea for you to do the same thing. Find yourself sitting at the edge of a beach listening to the ocean. It's extremely soothing to me, and it's my prayer that it will do the same for you today as well. So feet flat on the floor, make your hands comfortable. As I normally do, I just kind of let them flop. I sit up straight. I want to take advantage of the fact that my spine is stacked one upon the other, like blocks or bricks. And I generally bring my head a little bit forward. What I specifically mean by that is, what I'm doing is I'm finding the place where my head feels where it's not pulling. It's not pulling forward or being pulled back or to the sides or anything like that. It's literally the balance point. And again, what we want to do is concentrate on breathing. We'll get to that. Feet flat on the floor, and we begin to relax. We're going to go through the meltdown process again. We've just been pulled out of the freezer. We're all tensed up. We're rigid, etc. We need a break. And as part of our recovery, we want to learn this tool and continue to use it as we go forward in our journey. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and close our eyes gently. And as we hear the ocean sounds, you'll hear what is something of a natural rhythm. And we want to borrow from that experience. We want to inhale deeply, letting our abdomen expand too, not just the top of our torso or chest. We want to literally encourage oxygen as deep as it will go into our lungs, so we're going to expand our bellies as we do this as well. And concentrate on your feet. And what I want you to do is go ahead and wiggle your feet a little bit. And now completely, as if you're no longer connected to them, just stop moving them. Just let them be. Let them be all by themselves. When they begin to feel heavy and you begin to drop down as you exhale, this is important. Every time you exhale, you're going to have a sense of sinking anyway. Let's take advantage of it and try to maximize that event where we're starting to chill out and relax. Now let's do our entire from our hip bones down, every muscle, tendon, connective tissue in our legs, stop moving them. You may feel tension, tightness, whatever. Let go of it. Surrender. Let it go. And you'll begin to feel tensions and pains go away virtually immediately. Now let's do our upper body from our shoulders down to our hip bones, our torso. Exhaling and dripping. We're starting to drip. We were frozen. We're now in warm sunshine, and we're beginning to melt. We're going to melt today into the sand. Let's go ahead and do the same now with our arms from the shoulders to our fingertips. Getting totally relaxed. Drop your shoulders and breathe deep into your belly. Now let's do the head and neck. We want to flatten the forehead. Let your forehead completely be free of any control. The muscles of your face, again, let your jaw hang open slightly, your mouth open slightly, to prevent you from gritting your teeth. Let that transfer to both the front and back of your neck. And as we continue to breathe, slowly and deliberately, you may have different types of what are normally intrusive sounds around you. A dog may be barking. Somebody may tap a horn. A noisy vehicle could go by. Kids could be playing. Whatever it is, understand that it is part of the environment, just like you are. We're not going to do anything with our mind to try to block the stimulus of these sounds. We'll just acknowledge them and let them be. Just leave them alone. This is our 5-minute vacation, and we're certainly not going to let something very, very minor interrupt that. Put yourself on the beach. You're all by yourself. You can look to your left and look to your right, and the only thing you see are the waves breaking at the shore. Occasionally a seabird will go by and you'll hear it, but you are communing peacefully in a beautiful, natural setting. As you continue to meditate, keep your eyes closed. I'm going to go now and begin to read some of the information again from SAMHSA. This is a printout I'm reading from. It's from the National Consensus Statement on Mental Health Recovery. And today's topic again is respect. And I'll talk about it from the personal perspective, and I will certainly talk about what you can have as expectations regarding respect, in the process of your recovery. SAMHSA writes, respect. Community, systems, and societal acceptance and appreciation of consumers. By the way, we are consumers. We are going to be consumers of mental health recovery services. think of yourself as a buyer. You're a consumer at a supermarket now. Basically, you're participating in a program where you are consuming services that will be offered to you. Okay? These are including protecting their rights and eliminating discrimination and stigma. They're crucial in achieving recovery, self-acceptance, and regaining belief in one's self are particularly vital. Respect ensures the inclusion and full participation of consumers in all aspects of their lives. Respect is a very, very interesting topic for me. I'm sure there were times in your life, as in my life, where I had lots of self-respect. Especially during the time when I became active in my drug addiction, I really wasn't paying attention to the fact that slowly, not only was I losing respect for myself, but I was losing respect for everybody, all institutions, the things I believed in, and many of these things I passionately believed in. But I found that in that loss of spirit, which I've spoken about before, I had lost all respect for anybody outside of me, and I lost respect for myself. This is very, very common for people who are trying to recover from mental health disorders, to include substance abuse. I've said it before, substance abuse is a mental health, it's a diagnosable mental health disorder. And it's a bit insidious. It is slow. The process, there's an erosion, and it frequently comes with an erosion of personal morality. As I lost respect for myself and for others, it became a real lonely place. I mean, awful. Really, really terrible place. I had lost all the values and virtues I held close to me at one time. And I know I could not possibly be alone there. Mental disability is just like any other disability, it's a burden. And it can be made much, much worse by using substances. Now here's something critical that you need to know. You and I are not alone. In fact, 60% of the people worldwide who have what are known as affective disorders, these are mood conditions such as depression, bipolar, schizoaffective disorder, anxiety disorders, etc. 60% of the people in the world who have these disorders are also substance abusers. Oh yeah, that is a staggering, staggering number. Why do so many people use who have these disabilities? The answer is people use they use drugs just like you use a legal substance like an aspirin or an Advil or something like that. We are in pain. We are in pain. We're either in mental pain, physical pain, we might be in spiritual pain, we might have financial pains, but we want at least a temporary reprieve from the forces that affect us in this way. It can be devastating. And so we reach for something that will help us not feel the pain. Now, I have personal opinions that I've seen all kinds of research on addictive genes and stuff like that. You can believe what you want about that, and I would encourage you to do some research. I have really no opinion. All I have that I can be sure of is my own personal experience. I'm entitled to that, and so are you. Your personal experience in life is going to guide you or be a factor in the recovery process. But let's talk about respect, especially after we've lost it. But I'm going to ask the question first. Isn't it nice when we are respected by others? Isn't it nice when somebody says, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am? People are considerate. Um, when people say things like, I respect your opinion, or I expect your rights, or I expect or I'm respectful of who you are or your decision. That's huge, because from that respect, we are validated, and we can gain, further acceptance in knowing that our way of thinking is okay. But we lose that, don't we? We've lost self-respect and have found ourselves somehow reduced. In many cases, like in my case, I was completely depleted. I had no self-respect. I didn't respect anybody else. It was horrible. And I felt completely defeated. I felt as if all the air had been let out of my balloon. I was deflated. And so I had to find a way to begin to respect myself again. How did I do it? Well, in some cases, it was by speaking to others, by getting help. But one of the key things that was introduced to me early in the process was that I had to forgive myself. No matter how outrageous our behavior has been in the past, we have to forgive ourselves. If we cannot forgive ourselves, it is unlikely we can forgive others. If we cannot forgive others, it affects our ability to respect who they are. If we cannot respect ourselves, our self-image is permanently damaged, or for as long as that lack of respect persists. Now, I not only had to forgive myself, but I had to understand, and this is a very important concept. And what I'm going to have you for a second is think about, there's an intersection, like in mathematics, there's an intersection of an x and y axis, just like this. The y-axis is essentially up and down. We're measuring things like mood, things like respect, joy, emotional gaugings, if you will. They tend to be, very, very linear. Excuse me. We can feel better about ourselves. We can feel worse about ourselves, whatever. But here's what's interesting. It's the x-axis, because the x-axis, like a clock, it never stops. Never stops. So if we're behind, if at this intersection, if we're on one side of it, if we're way over here, behind on the timeline, then what that means is we're thinking about things that we've done that we can't change. So we find ourselves way back there. We'll be thinking about things that we've done that we need to be forgiven for, or there's the shame back there. And what ends up happening, if you spend too much time on the things that you've done in your past, it tends to be depressing. And it doesn't do anything to help foster self-respect. The other thing, and just as devastating, is if you're on the other side of the y-axis, you're thinking too far in the future. Remember, eventually, that x-axis just keeps going. It's just going to keep moving in time, just like the hands of a clock. We can't stop time. But what we can do is we want to narrow that focus into such a way that the only time we're concerned with is that point where the x and y axes cross. That is defined as being in the moment. We can't do anything about yesterday. We can affect tomorrow, but we can't do anything about tomorrow either. Why? It's not tomorrow yet. And it's not about what we did, it is about what we do, and to a great degree what we'll do in the future. But it's what we do with this time. We're in the moment. We are right now. We're sharing this moment. And right now, everything's pretty okay. And I think if you can dwell on what's going on right now and stay there, you're not going to be too tied up with the things of the past or the things of the future, and you'll be able to spend more of your mental energies, spiritual energies, etc., in that pure vertical so that you can improve. Don't be too worried about tomorrow. It's going to get here. But when it gets here, isn't it interesting that when tomorrow gets here, it gets here in the moment? So by concentrating in the moment, we can then begin to think about what it is in this moment that we can do to increase respect for ourselves and to increase our respect for others or for institutions, whatever. But we have to have a point of focus, and we can only really focus well if we do it in the moment. So now in this moment of meditative recovery, we ask ourselves, have we forgiven ourselves for the things that we have done that have been injurious to ourselves and or injurious to others? I've said it before, I devastated myself through the compounding, the dual diagnosis of having an affective disorder with substance abuse on top. It was devastating. And until I forgave myself, I could not begin to gain respect for myself again. It is critical. The other thing is, I needed to remind myself that without anger, without too much overinvestment in emotion, I had to respect others and institutions. I had to be respectful of law. I had to be respectful of my limits. But before I could respect others, I really needed to begin to respect myself. And that's where it all starts. I found it very difficult personally to forgive myself because of the path of destruction that I left. And so I literally, in my case, I actually had confession. I went to my first confession in 40 years, some years ago, and spilled my guts. And I was with a Catholic priest and received absolution. I cannot tell you what it was like to have a 38-year of drug use be absolved of the destruction that I had. I just left this path of unbelievable destruction in people's lives. Could I fix it immediately? No. And so I went ahead and asked for forgiveness, and I felt absolved after that. But then, in that forgiveness, I still needed some time before I really believed in myself that I was worthy of my own respect and worthy of of respect from others. And the way I did that was I had to begin to trust myself again. How did I do it? I remembered in my lifetime moments when I had tremendous self-respect. I knew I was doing the right thing. Everything was going well. And I had to go back to earlier chapters in my life, not to remember the bad stuff, but to remember the good stuff. I've had plenty of traumas. You have too. Um, but we can't change those things. All we can do is resolve to not do them again and to respect ourselves enough to realize that we can gain control and we can respect others and begin to gain the respect of others in our walk as we go through our journey. Respect is something we can lose in an instant. Just it's basically part of reputation. Uh, it takes a lifetime to gain one. It takes seconds to lose one. But the good news is it can be regained. You forgive yourself, I forgave myself, and then I began to ask forgiveness of others. In 12-step programs, it's step number 8. It is, you're making your list of amends to people you have injured and wounded, and you ask for forgiveness. Now, here's something, reality check time. Not everybody will be as gracious as you would have them be when you ask for forgiveness. Not everybody that you've had a past with is going to forgive you. Not going to happen. Okay? No matter how hard you try, there's no such thing as 100% of the people that you've dealt with in the past forgiving you. You should not have that expectation, but you should try to make those amends. Why? Because it's one of the things we must do to gain respect for ourselves. And what that means is, in a sense, we now know we have done the best we can to apologize for our past, and we're doing the best we can to resolve that these things will not happen again. The result is we begin to respect ourselves. Where we are graciously forgiven, things are forgotten and we move on, wonderful. But be prepared that some people just simply don't want to hear from you and never will. But there's some good news, and that is this. There are billions, billions of people who live on this planet, billions of them. Let's say you've injured 100 people. I probably have at least injured 100 people in my lifetime. Put that in the numerator, and then put the population of the Earth in the denominator. What you end up with is a decimal. You have a decimal point and so many zeros. Those zeros will go all the way around the Earth several times. That's how many zeros would be associated with the number of people you have let down or broken their hearts or something, or lost their respect. Just because you've had a terrible past doesn't mean your future cannot be a very, very bright one. So where does it start? As far as I'm concerned, it starts with the beginning of the sharing of your story. Tell somebody, okay? If you're in a 12-step program, by all means, get a sponsor. Sponsors help me, no question about it. And Don't be afraid to get every type of help you possibly can get your hands around. Ask for help. I can assure you that nobody is going to be breaking your door down to help you. You really have to do the heavy lifting. Go out, knock on doors, make telephone calls, use the internet, use every resource you know how. Networking, talk to people who are also trying to recover. Talk to professionals, get a psychiatrist, get a psychologist, find a social worker. There are city services, there are state services, there are federal services. The list goes on and on and on. But none of these agencies can identify you. You have to identify the agency, find out about the services they have, and get yourself plugged in. Ultimately, we have the responsibility for our own recovery. But unless you gain a sense of self-respect and begin to respect others, you're going to stay, I call it spin in the drain. You're going to spin the drain, and you're going to spin the drain in perpetuity until you stop doing the things that are causing you to stay stuck and make positive steps toward a much, much better life. Some of you are on medications. Some of you should be on medications. Not everybody needs medication to recover. However, don't buy into the stigma. We just read about it. Stigma is a negative attribution, a label. It's a negative label. You have nothing to be ashamed about. Categorically, by the way, people with affective disorders, these are chemical imbalances in your mind. They're in your brain, literally. Things like serotonin, oxytocin, norepinephrine, etc. The balances of these chemicals in your body have an effect on your mood. Interestingly, categorically, there's not a whole lot of difference with respect to mental health disorders, and in that they're chemical disorders, so that it can be compared a lot to diabetes. You have a chemical disorder which can be fixed. It can be managed. But again, today's goal is respect. Respect. Respect yourself, respect others, and be determined, okay, that you're going to, it's like walking up a staircase. Take the next step. The closer you get to the top, the better you are going to feel. Everybody has a story. I don't know if mine's the worst story in the world or the least troublesome story, but mine was a challenge. My story it was a challenge to recover and be able to once again lead a productive life. And one of the things, and I'll never stop saying this, one of the main things that's helped me is to have a sense of gratitude for everything. The fact that you can look at this video right now means you can seek and gain a different life. I am but one resource that's out there. And I can tell you, and I'll say this till I am blue in the face, if I can recover from the depths and despair of my mental health disorders and recover from a very long run of drug abuse, anybody can. Absolutely anybody can. And you can go on and lead a fulfilling life. That would be my hope for everybody. What I'll then say in closing is it's a bit of an invitation. And I invite you to courageously begin the process of forgiveness. Courageously begin the process of gaining self-respect. If you start with those two as goals, eventually you're going to find yourself respecting others. If you give others the respect that you would want yourself, it's the old golden rule, you're going to get it in return. Make the amends, ask for forgiveness where possible, but be of good cheer and positive resolve that things will get better. And if you do, they certainly will. With that, I think we've covered plenty for this particular segment of my show. I will be back. This is, I think, the fourth module from SAMHSA. I'll be doing them. I'll be hopefully finishing them in the next week to 10 days. And then I'll go on to something else. What I'd like to do is to invite you to leave suggestions and comments, obviously in the comments section here. If there's something you'd like to see presented, by all means, let that be known to me. And by all means, feel free to share this this series of videos with people you know who are trying to begin something of a recovery process or to support them in their recovery journey. And if you like what you see, please thumbs up and like the page, and we'll see if we can continually bring some some serious help to those of you who are seeking the same. So with that, I'll sign off for today. I wish you a great sense of peace in this. Please feel free to continue to meditate. Come back and watch these videos as many times as you have to, but begin the process of healing, because it's definitely worth it. So I will bid you a pleasant remainder of your day. May God richly bless you. And of course, Atma Namaste. Take very good care. Bye-bye.